Hey there, my name is Montie Smith and I'm a realtor in Raleigh, North Carolina. I've been in the business for 30 years. I've had a lot of experience with good agents, bad agents, and some in between. This past year I had an experience with Tim Burrell. We had a transaction working with an REO property. I won't name the bank, but it was a very difficult transaction. I've done some REO and short sale business, but not a lot. Fortunately for me, and this is a very flagrant pitch, but I'm going to tell you that Tim really helped the transaction to get to the finish line. And despite my years of experience, I learned a lot from it. And it was really the little things that he knew that helped negotiate us to closing. For example, the bank wouldn't cut the power on. Well, we had a leak. It was in the winter. So Tim negotiated with the bank to get permission to get the power on. I think he ended up paying for it himself just to make sure that it was done. We had mold. This was a real big fun thing to deal with. We had significant mold in the basement. So we had to deal with that. So we had to jump through a lot of hoops with the bank to get permission, because these banks have secondary companies that all they do is work for the banks as contractors to repair and get properties ready to sell, or to get them in enough condition to sell and transfer clear title. But this was a real hurdle to get over, and I've got to say that in this instance again, Tim knew the right things to say. He knew how to deal with his rep with the bank to get them to a yes, so that we could get the mold remediated and get closer to the finish line. So I just think that if you've got a broker that has the experience in negotiating with banks and mortgage companies, it's invaluable. I actually took a short sale course from a very respected instructor in Raleigh. It was part of my continuing ed. But that course did not help me with dealing with REO properties. So again, it's a pitch, but I'm going to tell you that if I had not had Tim working on that transaction, there's no way that we would have made it to the finish line. I even got up and painted some myself just to make sure that we could get the appraiser to give us a blessing after we had the mold remediation done. So having somebody that's experienced in negotiating with the corporate world and how banks operate and mortgage companies is critical in a transaction as complicated as an REO transaction can be. So anyway, but we got to the finish line. My clients got a fantastic house. They got a very reasonable price on it in an area in Raleigh, North Carolina that is historically very expensive. So all's well that ends well, and I'm just glad I had a strong negotiator working. Even though we were working on opposite sides of the transaction, it was really helpful to know that if I had a question, Tim would tell me the truth, and then he would go to bat. He was working for his seller. There was never any question of that. But he knew how to negotiate with that seller to get them to a yes. So anyway, that's my story.